Welcome to the Autistic Culture Podcast, where we celebrate autistic contributions to society and culture.
Join us every Tuesday as we dive into everything from famous autistics in history to the pop culture, unique passions, and the special interests that define our community.
Whether you're autistic or love someone who is, welcome to Autistica. We're your hosts, Dr. Angela Kingdon, the linguistic autistic,
and Matt Lowry, licensed psychological practitioner. Join us as we explore the values, traditions, and identity of Autistica. Episode 101, Creature Commandos is Autistic. Hey, Angela.
101! We're in triple digits!
We are. That is a thing that is a magnificent accomplishment. And we are on our second 100 episodes now. And we have a really great one to kick things off because as we talked about on the Beauty and the Beast episode, we are drawn to monsters.
We are drawn to monsters. Love a monster.
There's something about a sympathetic monster that's very, very appealing to us.
I can't imagine why that would be attractive to autistic people.
Yeah, because that's the thing. We are often judged. We are often blamed. We are often criticized by people who don't understand us. And therefore, when we find an appealing monster, we really, really latch on to that.
Yeah.
And if there's one guy who understands the sympathetic monster, it's Guillermo del Toro. But if there's another guy...
I was like, wait, and that's who we're talking about today?
Yeah, if there's another guy who understands the sympathetic monster, it's definitely James Gunn. So...
Can we talk about him today?
We will be talking about James Gunn. We are going to be talking about the DCU. We're going to be talking about Creature Commandos, the first official DCU project. As you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has a bunch of Marvel movies. DC, originally Detective Comics, now just DC.
That's very funny because I lived most of my life in Washington, D.C.
Indeed, yes.
And so, you know, like how you get things wrong when you're a kid? And so, like, in my head, DC Comics was like, oh, I'm from DC. These comics must be from DC. Like, yeah. I always thought DC Comics meant Washington, DC, which is obviously incorrect.
District of Columbia Comics, yeah.
Right. Well, that's what it meant to me.
Yeah. And that's the association.
Yeah.
And so there have been many DC movies and many DC projects going back to the 40s with like the Batman serials and the Superman radio show. Fun fact, Superman fought the Ku Klux Klan in the radio drama, and it was an actual thing in the real world where a guy went undercover to get data on the Ku Klux Klan and expose it on the radio show to actually bring down the Ku Klux Klan. So sadly, it didn't stay down, but G.I. Robot will be there to help us. There's been many projects ranging from Tim Burton's Batman, the Christopher Reeve Superman, the George Reeves Superman, all sorts of projects throughout the years, but they haven't entirely been cohesive. The DC animated universe that started with Batman the Animated Series, going through Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, the Zeta Project, Batman Beyond, Static Shock, all created a very cohesive universe within itself. But even then, there were a lot of limitations due to rights issues.
Yeah.
For instance, like a lot of Batman's villains could not show up on Justice League Unlimited because they were being used in other projects at the time. Teen Titans couldn't show Batman because there were rights issues even amongst itself in the studios. Mm-hmm. So when they started to essentially reboot the cinematic universe, after, the Tim Burton Batman movies, after the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, after the Zack Snyder universe, there were still all sorts of interesting obstacles with the animated projects. And so now
somebody bought part of it, so they couldn't use it? Disney or Universal or something?
Well, that's the thing, because just like with Marvel and Spider-Man, DC has all of these individual projects in all these individual areas. Like, if there's a villain appearing in a movie, they can't appear in a TV show at the same time because they think they would have, like, I don't know, media confusion or something. So they didn't think that the audience was smart enough to realize that a cartoon is different than a movie. So it it kind of it made for a tricky thing. But now that James Gunn is in charge, little side note here, James Gunn is the guy we talked about in the superheroes are autistic episode that created Guardians of the Galaxy. And of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy really autistic coded, especially Drax and Mantis, but all of them have a lot of heavy autistic traits. Groot and Rocket, pretty socially out there. They've got a lot of deep heart. They've got a lot of trauma, as our people tend to do. But
No other way.
yeah, after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, James Gunn was set up by Marvel Studios to be like the head of the Cosmic Division with the Nova Corps and a lot of other big projects. But neo-Nazis, the alt-right, decided that because he was outspoken in favor of democracy, they decided they were going to take him down based on inappropriate tweets that he made early in the day, joking about inappropriate subject matter. And the head of Disney said, "Oh no, we can't have that," even though it's been out there for 15 years. So they fired him. And in the interim, in between his being fired and being rehired to do Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, uh, the DC Studios, Warner Brothers Pictures, said, "Hey, can you come over here and make a movie for us?" They had previously done Suicide Squad, and Suicide Squad is based on a comic. It's based on Task Force X, a whole bunch of criminals, the worst supervillains imaginable from Belle Reve prison. It's a supermax prison, and they saw the people at Warner Brothers said, "Hey, Guardians of the Galaxy, these out there weirdos." Let's make a movie a lot like that. And then when they made this movie, they said, let's make it even more like that. And in the editing process, they drastically changed the tone from a very dark, sour movie to a dark comedy, a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy. They added a whole bunch of musical cues, just like Guardians of the Galaxy. They tried to make Suicide Squad a lot more Guardians of the Galaxy like. It starred Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn,
Oh,
Jared
right.
Leto
Okay.
as the Joker, Will Smith as, what was it, Deadshot?
Hmm.
Oh, Deadshot was in the first one or the second one. I can't remember which because it doesn't really matter. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, they made a James Gunn-esque movie, and it did not work out very well.
Crash and burn. Because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't you can imitate, but you will
You,
not succeed.
exactly. So David Ayer was very upset that his movie was reworked all to hell to ape James Gunn, and it fell flat. It did not work. So when in time came for a sequel to Suicide Squad, DC said, "Hey, that James Gunn guy is unemployed. Let's have him make a sequel to Suicide Squad." And he said, "Well, I really don't want to make a sequel. I'd really rather just redo it." So he sort of made a sequel, sort of made a reboot called The Suicide Squad. So it was Suicide Squad. Now it's The Suicide Squad. Will Smith did not like the being told what to do, so he left the project, and Idris Elba came in to replace him, which massive upgrade. Margot Robbie came back. Frank Grillo played Rick Flag Jr. As part of this. John Cena came on to play Peacemaker. James Gunn brought in his brother Sean Gunn to play Weasel, and the villain of the movie, one of the villains of the movie, was Peter Capaldi, noted Doctor Who fan.
Yeah. Well, here we go again. It all comes back to Doctor Who, really,
It
doesn't
does,
it?
because we can't go an episode without
Yeah.
mentioning him,
Nope.
as is the way.
Yes.
But the major enemy was Starro the Conqueror, a gigantic psychic starfish. So again, James Gunn likes the weird stuff. James Gunn likes the monsters. James Gunn likes to think outside the box. So as whereas the first movie's villain was Enchantress, basically, oh man, what's her face? I can't remember her name. French model. She was in Valerian and the Planet of a Thousand City of a Thousand Planets. I can't remember her name. It'll pop up later.
Someone's shouting it right now.
Simon probably knows.
Yeah.
But
Our producer is here and he knows all this stuff. Shout it out, Simon. He's trying to not he's trying to not know.
I'm going to spoil Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
But anyway, they tried to keep everything realistic and down to earth and everything. James Gunn said, "Screw all that. We're going to have Starro the Conqueror as the villain," and it was really, really impressive.
I feel like he's the master of the villain.
Yes, he's very good about making sympathetic monsters. He's very good about, again, so long story short, Peacemaker is one of these bad guys doing good because in the movie he says he wants peace so bad he'll kill every man, woman, and child on earth to get it. And because he's a gigantic jerk, but he wants to be a hero. He thinks he is a hero. But then, as a follow-up to the Suicide Squad, there is a Max series, Peacemaker, starring John Cena versus Alien Butterflies. And Alien Butterflies were the whole villain of this. One of James Gunn's friends, Steve Agee, was man, I can't remember his name. It'll pop up. Simon's probably also screaming that. But Steve Agee is in like all of the stuff that James Gunn does, because James Gunn has a certain group of actors, much like Tim Burton, that he prefers to work with because he loves the pre-production, he loves the post-production, but for him, he's very stressed out telling new people what to do. When he has a group of people that he trusts and who trusts him, he has a really good time on set. So he's found a group of people like Michael Rooker and his brother Sean that he puts in literally everything. And then he has a good experience making these movies because we are not fans of change.
Right. So anyway, correct. And we can actually enjoy it. Thank you.
Peacemaker, the series, is also sort of loose canon to the new DCU because the Suicide Squad is loose canon to the DCU because it still had a lot of elements from the old DC universe, like Harley Quinn. And the Peacemaker series has an appearance of Aquaman and Flash from the Snyderverse Justice League, which is no longer canon, but everything else is considered canon to the new DCU with the Butterfly people. And so anyway, in the Peacemaker series, his best friend Vigilante, a DC comic anti-hero, is explicitly autistic. They have a conversation about this. And Peacemaker is implied to also be autistic. And there are many, many scenes throughout the series where they're just talking back and forth in rapid fire, hyperlexic sort of things. And
I love that.
This is the way we do things. And anyway, and James Gunn's wife is predominantly in the Peacemaker series because, again, he likes her, so she has a role. So Peacemaker's father was revealed to be this ultimate neo-Nazi Grand Dragon's like supervillain sort of thing, which is why Peacemaker grew up as a giant jerk, and he's trying to do better, and he's trying to be a hero. And his best friend is, aside from Vigilante, an eagle, which is played mostly by CGI because you can't get people to do all the things that he needs to do. So it turns out that he's a lovable moron. He does a lot of socially inappropriate stuff, but you see why he does it. He's heavily implied to be autistic. His best friend Vigilante is autistic. There's a lot of autistic representation in this show. And this leads into Creature Commandos because Task Force X, the Suicide Squad. Once again, Suicide Squad is a group of supervillains who are forced to do good things for the government because they have explosives in their necks, and if they don't do the things that
They
the
blow
government
up.
wants them to do, they blow up.
Mhm.
So in the Peacemaker series, uh, Amanda Waller's daughter comes out and says, "Hey, my mom is doing all this shady stuff. She shouldn't be doing that." So Task Force X, the Suicide Squad, is shut down. Humans are no longer allowed to be put in such situations. But they do have a reserve quantity of monsters on hand.
As you
So
do.
Creature Commandos, the first official project of the DCU, is about this group of monsters, largely based on the Creature Commandos episode. So there was a war comic back in the 40s, and 50s, and 60s that featured this guy, Sergeant Rock. And Sergeant Rock was the Nick Fury of the DC universe. He led Easy Company, a group of freedom fighters that were very good at killing Nazis. Because, again, Nazis are bad. We here on the Autistic Culture Podcast do not condone
We
Nazi
don't like
behavior.
Nazis.
We
don't
are not
like
a fan
it.
of Nazis.
Mm-mm.
If you're a fan of Nazis, this is not the project.
Don't even listen. We don't even want your ear time.
No, we are not a fan of Nazis. Go to hell. So, anyway, so back in the 40s, there was this war comic with Sergeant Rock, an Easy Company. They fought Nazis. They decided to bring in some monsters to shake things up a little bit, including GI Robot, the Frankenstein creature, a bunch of others. Collis the Mummy. The roster changed over the years and was in different incarnations, but the Creature Commandos cartoon is largely based on Frankenstein and the Agents of Shade, SHADE, a secret superhero department that was part of the New 52 reboot. DC has rebooted their universe many times,
as they do. Yes.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so the characters that we meet in this are as follows: the bride of Frankenstein, sort of unofficially affiliated Frankenstein, Eric Frankenstein in this. Dr. Phosphorus, played by Alan Tudyk. Well, the Bride of Frankenstein is played by Indira Varma. Eric Frankenstein is played by David Harbour. Dr. Phosphorus is played by Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk also plays Clayface, a shape-shifting clay man who's a villain of Batman. Sean Gunn plays G.I. Robot, one of my favorite characters of all time, and Weasel, reprising his role from The Suicide Squad. Chloe Zhao plays Nina Murkowski, who is this amphibious woman that goes by Mermaid in the comics, but she's essentially just a creature from the Black Lagoons, sort of amphibious woman. And Frank Grillo plays Rick Flag Sr. Peacemaker kills Rick Flag Jr. in The Suicide Squad, so they brought him back as Rick Flag's dad, and he's the only human in the bunch. He is the grizzled soldier who's responsible for keeping track of these monsters, making sure they do what they're supposed to do, right?
Right.
So every single one of these monsters has a tragic backstory. It has a lot of autistic traits. So we're going to go down this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about why we are so drawn to monsters. Again, sort of recapping before. And we're going to talk about the future because James Gunn is really, really big on world building. And that is one of the parts of autistic culture because we are, in fact, world builders.
That is one of our pillars. We like to build a world.
Indeed.
Usually a world with monsters, but not always.
So we'll start off with the big guns,
Oh,
Frankenstein and the
wait,
Bride.
before we start, is this a good time to like take a quick break? Because
We
then
could
people
take,
could be excited. We
yeah,
could get them.
we could build anticipation,
Let's do
and
that.
yeah, we'll take a quick break, and before we get into spoilers, because Simon hasn't seen it yet. So yeah, we'll take a quick break. We're going to talk about some really good goods and services, and we will come back to talk about monsters.
Perfect. Hey, everybody. This is Angela, and I have an incredible opportunity to share with you from friend of the pod and one of my favorite authors that I've had the opportunity to work with, Becca Lori Hector. Becca's book, Always Bring Your Sunglasses, is a heartfelt and honest look at life through the lens of an autistic adult, filled with insights, personal stories, and a heck of a lot of empowerment. And she is offering it totally 100% free to our listeners. All you have to do is visit alwaysbringyoursunglasses.com. That's alwaysbringyoursunglasses.com for a free copy of Becca's book.
So we are talking about Creature Commandos, the show on Max, being very autistic coded. We've gone a little bit about the background of the DCU, why James Gunn is involved with this. We'll talk more about James Gunn and the plans.
And partly our little unofficial board, the Guardians of Autistica, were inspired by James Gunn's creation.
Indeed,
So,
yes.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the characters of the Suicide Squad, and we're going to start off with the character that is literally a big gun, G.I. Robot. And G.I. Robot, as most robots in media are, is very heavily autistic coded because he has a monotropic focus on killing Nazis. So this is this.
Do you know that was one of my first books when I was 21, maybe 22?
How to Kill a Nazi?
It was called The Nazi Hunters, was the
There you
name
go.
of this book. And there were actual people like in the 80s who after World War II would go around like to Argentina and shit and find Nazis, and they would get paid for turning them in and to The Hague or whatever so that they could be prosecuted for war crimes. And that was one of my first books, was called The Nazi Hunters.
It truly was a golden age.
It was. They're all dead now, so there's no more Nazi hunters. That's how you lose your job.
Yeah. Too good at their job by getting rid of Nazi scum. So this first quote is when we're first introduced to the creatures, they're all in prison for various reasons. You don't know why they're in prison. They just are. And then they are called on a special mission to go protect a princess from one of Wonder Woman's villains, Cersei. And she has recruited a bunch of neckbeards that they call the Sons of Themyscira. They are all fairly misogynistic. It's a whole thing. They're real jerks. But she is trying to kill this princess, played by Maria Bakalova, who was in Borat, the second movie, and
she was Cosmo. The young, yeah.
Yeah, she's very talented. She is the first person cast in the whole new DCU, and he wrote this.
She's very talented.
He wrote this princess role for her. But they are on their way in a car to protect this princess. Weasel starts getting a little nervous because he has to go pee, and G.I. Robot asks this.
G.I. Robot is detecting unease. Could he be G.I. Robot ass in fear of being discovered as Nazi scum?
And G.I. Robot talks like that a lot, which I find hilarious. And
Angela talks like that too. Could Angela be in fear of being accused of talking about herself in third person?
Matt says yes.
Okay, perfect.
And later on, when G.I. Robot is stationed outside the princess's room to guard her, he's pondering to himself and just recounting his adventures.
Oh, in June. Oh, hold on. I have to open my screen up. I'm failing you. In June of 1944, 38 dead Nazis. In September of 1944, I fought at the Battle of Hurtgen forest. A whopping 92 dead Nazis. In October of 1944, at the Battle of Aachen, I ended the lives of 14 Nazis.
And later on,
I'm feeling the need to add up all those numbers. 38
Yeah.
plus 92 plus 14. And now my brain is like 38 plus 92. I have to, but it's
this is the way.
Right. Gonna have to answer that. That is a grand total of 144 Nazis.
And that is just in that little segment that was there, because he was in many more battles. But Nina Murkowski, the mermaid woman, is genuinely the soul of the group. She is not a monster at heart, even though she looks like a monster. She knows Shakespeare. She knows 4 languages. She is the daughter of a scientist. She is very tragically turned into a mermaid creature because her father is trying to save her life. But this is an exchange between G.I. Robot and Nina Murkowski.
It's a beautiful evening, isn't it? I do not enjoy landscapes devoid of dead Nazis, Miss Nina. Oh, can Miss Nina and G.I. Robot be killing Nazis soon? This is your idea of romance right here, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Ms. Waller promised it would be soon. Oh, it's been so long since G.I. Robot has sent Nazis back to hell where they belong. I think you will be soon. G.I. Robot would like to kill Nazis with you. Would you like to kill Nazis with G.I. Robot? If I killed Nazis with anyone, it would certainly be you, G.I. Robot. Oh my, G.I. Robot has been waiting for a friend to kill Nazis with for 74 years, 23 days, and 52 minutes.
Being very, very precise in all that.
Yes. It's slightly autistic. We just need to,
Yeah. And the whole story about G.I. Robot, he was built by scientists with Easy Company and to help Sergeant Rock kill some Nazis in World War II. And after World War II ended and his time of killing Nazis was finished, he was put on like a show circuit to show off how great robots are. And of course, he kept looking in the audience for Nazis to kill, looking for ways to kill Nazis, and they're like, well, we don't need you to kill Nazis anymore. And they put him in with Will Magnus, the guy who created the Metal Men. So if you're a really big DC fan, the Metal Men are a bunch of robots, each have a distinct composition: lead, mercury, gold, and tin. And they all have a specific body type. But anyway, that's one of James Gunn's favorite groups because he loves robots and, again, very autistic coded. So Will Magnus in this series studies G.I. Robot to make these new robots. But G.I. Robot goes into storage for a very long time until he's found by this guy played by Michael Rooker, one of James Gunn's best friends, who brings him
in
out
real life, one of his best friends.
In real life, yes.
Okay.
Michael Rooker is in literally every project that James Gunn ever has done.
I love that.
So this guy played by Michael Rooker is a big fan of American paraphernalia. He loves, studying World War II. He wants to make this country great again. And he brings G.I. Robot to a gathering of all of his friends where they proudly salute a big old swastika.
So does G.I. Robot see this?
G.I. Robot pretty much says, oh boy, but it's not implied as to, is he excited? Is he like, oh no, my best friend, I'm going to violently murder? But anyway, long story short, at this gathering of American Nazis, he murders 34 people. He kills 34 more Nazis to add to that running total that you had there before.
Yes.
And the court system, since it's not the 1940s, they did not care for that.
Oh, you're not just allowed to do it?
He was heavily praised back in the day for his aptitude for killing Nazis. But these days, when he kills Nazis, he's punished, and he was sent to jail. And there's this
Aw.
long montage where he just sits there for years and years and years and years as the sun just rolls in and out of the day and night, day and night, day and night, as cobwebs grow all over him, because he doesn't really understand why what he was doing was good, but now it's bad. Because, they told him this is the right thing
Yeah,
to
I'm
do.
confused by it too. Wait, hold on. That sounds like I'm having an autistic moment right now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
how can it not be good? You're going to get in trouble for killing Nazis? Did something change?
Yeah, because he was initially praised. Cheers for the Tin Man, because he killed so many Nazis, and then he
Right.
continued to do the thing that got him so much praise. And now it's
Oh,
suddenly bad.
that's happened to me
So
before too.
yeah,
Not with the
it's
Nazis though, but with other things.
yeah,
Hmm.
and it's one of those things, because again, James Gunn gets this. He understands what it's like to not understand social convention. And next up, we'll talk about The Bride and Frankenstein, because, again, Frankenstein, one of my all time favorite books,
We know
very different
this.
from any movie that has been made. The new Guillermo del Toro movie is coming out this year, which I'm sure is going to be one of my favorite movies of all time, because it's Guillermo del Toro and Frankenstein, and he loves Frankenstein. So we're just going to make it. But in the book Frankenstein, Frankenstein says, "Hey, I'm a very well read and poetic person. I would like to have someone to spend my life with. Make me someone that's like me." And Dr. Frankenstein starts to make a bride, but doesn't. And the creature is very upset about this. So there's a whole thing in the movies. Uh, Dr. In the movies, Henry Frankenstein, no longer Victor Frankenstein, changed for political reasons. In the first movie, he says, "Oh my, I've learned my lesson about playing God. I won't do that anymore." But in the sequel, it starts off with Elsa Lanchester playing Mary Shelley, and she was a spitfire in real life. She was a blazing redhead. Fun fact: the Bride of Frankenstein wig in real life is red with a big white streak in it, not black.
Uh
So the Bride
huh.
of Frankenstein had big red hair.
Mm-hmm.
She was known for being completely naked underneath the big cloak and flashing people all the time. She was married to a very prolific gay director. She was infertile due to a botched abortion.
Mm.
She lived a very big, extravagant life. And that was a big thing about the Bride of Frankenstein movie, because the Bride of Frankenstein movie was directed by James Whale, who was gay. It starred Dr. Pretorius and Henry Frankenstein, both of which portrayed by gay men. And it's about two guys producing life without a woman. So
Oh.
yeah, it's a whole big thing. There's a lot of Hays Code stuff in there. They made a movie based on this with Ian McKellen and Brendan Fraser called Of Gods and Monsters. And basically, The Bride is the first cinematic uh, women's liberation character,
Okay.
because these two gay guys create life and said, "Here, you are created to be a bride for this creature." And she's like, "Nope, not going to do it." So she actively rejects. She's on screen for all of 5 minutes, but she's iconic. And she just screams. She's like, "No, I don't want this." And then the Frankenstein creature says, "Dead is better," blows up the castle, and they're both presumed dead. And you never
Hmm.
see the bride ever again, but she's in the show. And it sort of goes in that direction. She does reject the creature who comes to be called Eric Frankenstein, uh, the 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 built son of Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But
The built son.
as as Victor Frankenstein is teaching her all these things about humanity, he develops a thing for her, because you got that the syndrome, the My Fair Lady, the Pygmalion syndrome,
Yeah.
where you're like, "Oh yes, I created you," and then they start going at it on the operating table.
Right.
And Eric Frankenstein does not like this, so he
No.
viciously murders Victor Frankenstein
Oh, sort of,
and
yes. A little
says, now,
patricide. Patricide?
yeah,
Is that what that
yeah,
is? Yeah.
yeah, more or less. And
Mm-hmm.
he says, now we can be together. So there is this montage of them fighting for 200 years, incredibly violently every time. He keeps tracking her down with flowers and chocolates and everything because he is really under the impression that she was built for him, that they are going to be together. He loves her in his own really delusional way. She wants nothing to do with him, so she makes it very clear on every occasion when they meet, she wants him to go directly to hell. So Shaggy from Scooby Doo shows up in one of these
Wow,
because
wow.
James Gunn wrote the Scooby Doo movies.
Wait,
So
what?
yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. The '90s Scooby Doo movies with oh god, what yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. and
Mm-hmm.
he was them. So anyway, the Scooby Doo gang is canonically part of the DC universe. So
I
anyway,
had no idea. Okay.
yeah. So the bride becomes the de facto leader of the creature commandos aside from human Rick Flag. She is well versed in many languages. She's fairly cultured. She really hates human beings. She is much preferred to be around monsters. And Frankenstein is living the good life on a yacht. He's accumulated independent wealth over centuries, but again, fairly delusional that the bride still has things from him. He's essentially the guy that would stalk her social media if she had any, saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, look, there's a clue that she still really loves me."
Right.
So he's very, again, we autistic people are not good at picking up on nuance.
No, just tell me.
So
I can't.
so
I'm not gonna
he says,
figure it
"Oh
out.
yes, we were together. We were supposed to be together, so we're still going to be together." The
Right.
bride, not big on socializing. She doesn't have any friends aside from,
She
it
was
turns out,
literally
Nina.
made for him.
She was literally made for him,
You can't
but
just back out on that.
she does not want him. She wanted
Oh.
Victor Frankenstein. She
Well,
was the bride of
it's
Frankenstein Senior.
creepy. It's got Woody Allen vibes. I don't like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, if you think that's creepy, there's a movie featuring Sting called The Bride, with where he instead of being the patchwork woman, it she's, oh god, I can't remember her name, but she's hot, and Clancy Brown plays Frankenstein, and he goes off to join the circus, and uh, oh god, Sting plays Dr. Frankenstein, and he hits on her in a very, very predatory vibe. So Frankenstein is actually the hero of The Bride to save her from predatory stuff, but doesn't count here. Check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, but
All
anyway,
right. That was a little
then
side note.
yeah. So then we've got Weasel, who is a human weasel that can't speak. It's questionable if he's barely sentient, and they mention in the Suicide Squad that he's killed a whole bunch of kids, and they mention in Creature Commandos that he's killed even more kids than that. But no one knows the story behind that. Linda Cardellini plays his like advocate from the jail because again they don't know why he was in this situation. And in a very tragic flashback, they show that he loves kids. He was playing ball with kids when one of them ran into his school, and they after hours, and all the other kids followed him. And Weasel was like, "I don't know, guys, you should probably get out." And when they were playing, they knocked over gasoline and a torch, and something blew up. And he was trying to drag the kids out, but these well-meaning yokels kept shooting at Weasel and ended up killing the kids.
Hmm.
So Weasel was trying to save the kids. It's a very, very tragic backstory, and Weasel tries very, very hard to do the right thing for all these. So then we've got
This
Dr.
is the way.
Phosphorus.
Okay.
Dr. Phosphorus is a glowing radioactive skeleton that melts literally everything around him. He can walk through a wall and just melt his way through. He was a Batman villain who was a geneticist trying to cure cancer with radiation. But he took mob boss money from Rupert Thorne people who watched the Batman or many incarnations of the Dark Knight and all these others know that Rupert Thorne's a mob boss. I think he was in the Penguin too, but Simon, you can correct
Okay.
me on that. But he took money from a
Mm.
mob boss. The mob boss was displeased with him, murdered his entire family, and decided to throw him in this radioactive generator, and caused him to become so irradiated that in most times you would die. But he became a flaming radioactive skeleton that can melt through walls, took over Rupert Thorne's empire, and then Batman took him down and put him in jail. So he's very, very distressed. He really, really likes kids. He really wishes that he had a family. Alan Tudyk does a great job of portraying him as a very tragic character. And then we've got Nina Murkowski, who is the mermaid woman. And
Mm-hmm.
again, she's an amphibian. She can't breathe out of water. She has to have a fishbowl on her head to breathe. She had a condition where her lungs were outside of her body when she was a baby,
Okay.
and she was put on an iron lung sort of thing, and her father is also a geneticist, and tried to fix it by turning her into an amphibian woman. And he educated her at home. She's educated in Shakespeare and knows all these languages. She's a very, very gentle creature. She doesn't want to kill anybody. She doesn't want to do anything bad. She just wants to be off on her own. And the bride sort of takes her under her wing. And when these two monsters try to bully Nina, uh,
Mm.
the bride viciously murders the larger of them and takes the food from the other, Nosferatu, and gives the food to Nina. And anyway, they're all thrown together. They've all got these very tragic backstories. None of them have any neurotypical social skills. None of them. They're all very family oriented. They're all very shunned by the world. The world sees them as monsters. And that is the way that a lot of us autistic people are, because we're often dehumanized.
Right.
I've mentioned before that there was one doctor that I was talking to that didn't know we could breed, because
Right.
again, we're so dehumanized that we're robbed of basic human traits.
Mm-hmm.
People think that we don't have empathy. People don't think that we have theory of mind. People don't think that we are capable of making eye contact. And if we do have any of those, there's lots of people who believe that we can't be autistic because they believe that we have to be subhuman in some way.
Right.
So this is a big reason why we relate to monsters, because we are treated as monsters. We are
Mm-hmm.
treated as something less. So James Gunn really, really nails this and really brings in a lot of autistic representation on the show. And spoiler alert, it turns out that a lot of the good-looking people are actually the bad people.
Oh, well,
So yeah,
Gaston. See Gaston for details.
exactly. You've got the beautiful Cersei, who is a Wonder Woman villain who enchants all these men. She's bad. We've got Cersei's goon who says, "Oh yes, Cersei can see the future, and this is going to be bad," and then it's bad. And of course, they realize that the princess might be bad, so she's beautiful. She sexes up Rick Flag Senior,
Mm-hmm.
but she's bad. All of the
Now I
monsters.
know what to look for. That was the spoiler.
Well, there's a whole thing about, is she good, is she bad? The villain Clayface is involved, and he's a shapeshifter, and he has a lot of things to do and a lot of manipulation, because again, we are very direct. If we are a flaming skeleton, that is all we are. If we are a weasel man, that is all we are. If we are a robot, that is all we are. But there's a lot of people
I
who are very,
am
very
what I
good,
am, what I am.
who is in public domain, so he can officially be the mascot now.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, as of January 1st. But that's
I
the thing.
know all these things.
Clayface is a shapeshifter, and he can come in and be anybody for any reason. So they have to figure out why Clayface is involved and why things are going awry, who wanted things to go awry, and there's this whole mystery up until the very end, because you don't know who's good and who's bad until the last 5 minutes of the season.
Wow. And they
Yeah,
keep you on your toes.
they keep you on your toes.
Even if you know the secret that the beautiful people are the bad ones?
At least appear to be the bad ones. So,
Mm.
so anyway, spoiler alert: not all of the creature commandos make it out alive,
Oh.
but there will be new creature commandos for next season, including a mummy. Who may, in fact, be one of the original creature commandos, may have been a newer mummy. Either way, they're both medics. King Shark from the Suicide Squad is joining the creature
Oh.
commandos. He is he's essentially Maui from Moana,
Oh, okay. Yep.
but not much of a speaker. A very literal, very direct. Played by Sylvester Stallone in the Suicide Squad, but played by a voice alike in the series. And Nosferita, who was originally going to be one, but James Gunn decided to hold her back for next season.
Yeah, you got
So
to hold some of the good stuff. Do
there are,
you want to talk more about what's next after a break? Should we do a quickie? Go away.
I think a break would be good because
Now,
we need to talk about the future, especially Superman.
That's right. Well, let's do that when we come back.
Hey clinicians, are you looking for an affirming way to assess autism and ADHD? NeuroPebble's diagnostic assessment training for master's level clinicians bridges the gap between self-identification and formal testing. This course prioritizes lived experience and understanding the nuances in the diversity of traits. Start today at neuropebble.learnworlds.com and take the first step towards transforming your practice. At NeuroPebble, every idea is a pebble that paves the path to a more neurodivergent, affirming world. That's neuropebble.learnworlds.com. And we are back.
We are back.
About creature commandos and the future of the DCU under James Gunn. Because the next project that's going to be released is later on this summer, and it's going to be Superman, followed by season 2 of Peacemaker. So we already know the Peacemaker is going to be autistic-coded. We already know the Vigilante is going to be back. He's going to be autistic. But Superman is someone with justice sensitivity, is an outsider, is someone who wants to do good and wants to be a friend, but doesn't quite get fitting in. And Clark Kent is very awkward.
That is true.
So Superman, even the Christopher Reeve version, Christopher Reeve, by all accounts, definitely not autistic.
Not autistic, yeah.
But his version of Clark Kent, very mild-mannered, very humble. Again, very justice sensitive because he wanted to be a good friend to the people around him. He wanted to be a good ambassador to the planet.
And you for sure could see how someone could play Superman as autistic. Like, that is not a stretch.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, even though Henry Cavill definitely has a lot of fandoms, including Warhammer 40K and The Witcher, he definitely didn't really play Clark Kent as autistic-coded. There was very low line because I don't really think that Zack Snyder understood. Zack Snyder said explicitly that he never really understood the appeal of Superman because he said, I'm paraphrasing here, I was one of those sick, broken kids. I liked the comics with the sex and the violence, which is why he misunderstood the message of Watchmen because he thought Watchmen was super cool when Alan Moore was trying to say, no, these people are very broken. You should not idolize them. They are not good. And Zack did not get that subtext.
Didn't quite get it. Didn't all come together. Yeah.
But Zack Snyder and James Gunn worked together on Dawn of the Dead. They've known each other for years. Zack Snyder wrote Dawn of the Dead. James Gunn wrote Dawn of the Dead, the remake. Zack Snyder directed it, and they've known each other for years. So they're not enemies by any means. But the Snyderverse fandom versus the James Gunn fandom are very vicious against each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because again, the Snyder fans did not want the Snyderverse to end and have endless petitions to, quote, restore the Snyderverse and bring back Henry Cavill, all of this stuff. But James Gunn is starting fresh with a new slate of actors, aside from Jason Momoa, because Jason Momoa was playing Aquaman, but now he's going to be playing Bounty Hunter Lobo. Because
Bounty Hunter Lobo, do that?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's an actor. He does what you tell him to do.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, Bounty Hunter Lobo looks exactly like Jason Momoa in the comics, only with pale white skin. So long hair, mustache, beard. He drives an intergalactic motorcycle.
As
He
you
is,
do.
yeah. Jason Momoa has wanted to play Lobo for years because he looks just like Lobo,
Oh,
and and he will be in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, where oh man, the from Game of Thrones, oh god, brain fart. I can't remember her name. God, from House of the Dragon.
do
Anyway,
you know I've never watched Game of Thrones? Millie Alcock, but
Millie Alcock.
oh,
Yeah,
I know who she is though. I can see her face. She looks
yeah,
familiar.
yeah. She's going to play Supergirl. He's going to play Lobo. That's going to be the next DCU project. So James Gunn has a really good eye for you know characters being played by actors who really relate to them. So Jimmy Olsen in the new Superman movie is played by the kid who is on as Santa Monica Diet, Santa Clarita Diet.
Santa
Sorry,
Clarita Diet. I knew what
yeah,
you meant.
and
Yeah.
and in the show he was autistic.
Uh-huh.
So, there's a lot of evidence that points towards the writers. We've got to do an episode about Santa Clarita Diet because the guy who created and wrote all the episodes, very very likely one of us. So yeah, I can see a lot of representation with Jimmy being autistic. Clark will probably be fairly autistic coded. There's going to be a lot of outsider stuff for Superman, especially when looking at the previews, the movie is going to feature a lot of other superheroes like Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific. There's going to be a lot of other bad guys, mainly Lex Luthor, the Engineer. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the background, and there's not going to be a whole lot of love for Superman because there's going to be a lot of mistrust somewhere along the line. Of course, Sean Gunn is going to be in the movie. He's going to play Maxwell Lord, who was originally played by Pedro Pascal in the Wonder Woman 84 movie.
Oh yeah, which I thought was a terrible movie, but
It was
it's
just
like something went
unfortunate.
wrong.
Yeah. Fun
Yeah.
fact: Adrian Pilecki was going to be Wonder Woman in the Ally McBeal guy. Who created Ally McBeal?
Hmm. I'm
Uh,
supposed to know
so
that.
I don't know. Anyway, the guy who created the Ally McBeal show was going to do a terrible Wonder Woman show, and Pedro Pascal was in
Oh,
that as
David
well.
E. Kelly.
David E. Kelly, yeah.
Well, David E. Kelly is a genius, but maybe, yeah, not
Have you seen this Wonder Woman pilot?
not great.
So the Wonder Woman pilot with Adrian Pilecki has a lot of scenes
Oh,
of her crying into ice cream
oh,
because she doesn't have a boyfriend.
okay.
She really really likes ice cream, and she hates most of the constitutional amendments. So
Hmm. I
it's
wonder how she feels about Nazis.
yeah. Well, that's
Hmm.
Linda Carter hated some Nazis,
Yeah, that's
so
true. She
yeah,
did.
we like that. But yeah,
Yes.
that's the thing. So we are going to look forward to a lot of autistic representation in the news DCU, thanks to James Gunn, and I really really look forward to what's around the horizon.
Do you think it sells? And if
To
so, why? Like,
well,
do you see what I'm saying? Is like, is it because autistic people consciously or not diagnosed or not like seeing ourselves, or does it work for everyone because clear cut, follows the rules, easy characters to understand quickly?
well, that's the thing. That's the thing. So, number one, we are world builders. James Gunn is a master at world building.
Mm-hmm.
Zack Snyder, not so much. So he will make an interconnected universe where he makes incredibly compelling, sympathetic characters that I think mainstream audiences really go for. Number two, the people who are diehard superfans, very likely us, but you need the mainstream to react to this to need that connection in order to get butts and seats to sell tickets. And like your quote unquote friend who was offended that you took Hans Christian Andersen from her, there are
Mm-hmm.
going to be a lot of neurotypicals who say, yes, I am also downtrodden and put upon. No one understands me either. And I am a unique butterfly, possibly alien myself, even though they may not be autistic, they may feel misunderstood.
Right.
So that outsider sort of thing is very much James Gunn's forte. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I I wonder if people who are not really outsiders fancy themselves to be
Well, that's
outsiders.
well, I mean, you have like the entirety of Christianity when you have 2 months of Christmas, but yet you're persecuted for s- reasons.
They're so persecuted.
Yeah. White people
Yeah.
aren't allowed to have White History Day or White History Month, but other are
Right.
because reasons.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's inevitability that people who are in massive majorities also think of themselves as a minority, also
As a
think of themselves
minority,
as
yeah.
being put upon, because
And then I think there's the thing with world building. Like we're talking about world building generally, but the thing that's so special about it, in my opinion, is the attention to detail.
yes,
You know, like we've talked about in the Pokemon episode, like there's so much attention to detail and we have to get it so right. And I don't think most neurotypicals could do that.
yeah.
Maybe with AI assistance or something, but they just don't see the patterns. But I do think they appreciate it. They don't necessarily realize what they're appreciating. Like in our Martha Stewart episode, I don't think you realize what's happening, but I still think the mainstream audiences appreciate that attention to detail.
Well, like that's the thing with Chris Terrio. Chris Terrio is known as the screenwriter who completely destroyed two separate billion-dollar franchises, the DC Universe and Star Wars, because he wrote Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Justice League, and The Rise of Skywalker. So he goes on these interviews talking about how he understands the dynamics and the interplay of good versus evil. And there is this thing that happened and this thing that happened, and he can sort of he recognizes that it exists, but he doesn't really understand why.
Hmm.
He sees the pieces, but he doesn't understand how they fit together. So it's a sort of like having all of the gears and all the pieces of a grandfather clock, and then a monkey throws them into a bucket and shits upon them.
Right.
And the monkey is under the impression, oh, look at this clock I've built, but
Right.
it's a pile of shit covered clock parts.
Right. They don't even necessarily know.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. Oh, okay. So look at like the recent Sony releases, Craven the Hunter and Madam Web, because Sony Pictures. I the thing that I so Sony has a deal with Spider-Man so they can release Spider-Man movies. So at some point they said, you know, Spider-Man has a lot of villains. If we make a movie for each of the villains, we can have our own universe. So it became the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, and they had the acronym SPUMP.
Yeah.
They're SPUMP. So
Okay.
the SPUMP became their thing. So they were like, let's make a movie about Morbius, the living vampire, and played by Jared Leto, noted movie ruiner. And
Yeah, correct.
yeah, so the science is bizarre and terrible. The movie was just god awful. It was mocked all over the internet, and it became a meme of it's Morbin time. And Sony was under the impression that people liked it enough to re-release it to even worse reviews,
Mm.
worse box office. So they made 3 Venom movies,
Well,
all
obviously
of which are
went.
terrible. One of my the biggest line from Venom 1 is Venom, Tom Hardy in a giant alien suit, saying, "Now I will rip off your arms and rip off your legs, and you will be rolling around like a turd in the wind." And that was the famous cinematic line that came out of that movie. And
Like a
like
turd in the wind,
like a
that
turd in the
line.
wind. Yeah.
Mhm.
Then Madam Web came out, and it was all about this woman. Oh man, the Dakota, she was in 50
Not
Shades of
Dakota
Grey.
Fanning.
No, the other one. The
There's
Meg
another
Griffith's
Dakota.
daughter. Uh, anyway, so anyway, it was a terrible, terrible movie. And then Craven the Hunter was just now released as of us writing this,
Oh.
playing played by Aaron Johnson, who got magic lion bite. Also a terrible, terrible movie. And the people at Sony don't understand why people don't watch these movies, because they watch the other movies, but they watch other Marvel movies, but they don't like these movies because they don't understand the world building. They don't understand the
Mm-hmm.
intricate elements. They don't understand why people like these. They don't get it. And it's the same reason why, they're like, well, Batman is dark and gritty, and people like that, so Superman should also be dark and gritty. No, Batman is Hades, Superman is Apollo.
Right.
Yes, Batman is the Lord of the Underworld, Superman is Hope. His big S stands for hope. Superman should be bright and joyful and hopeful. Batman is dark and gritty and
Dark.
trauma bound.
Right.
And yeah, that's the thing. They don't understand that, everything has a reason for being. Everything has a piece. Everything has a place. James Gunn seems to get this.
He just sees it naturally.
Yeah.
But he's also like, do you think he's actually running the studios and having to like manage neurotypical people? Like, you're talking about casting, but do you think he's hiring neurodivergent people?
He co-runs the studio with some other guy, Stefan.
I hope it's somebody who knows how to deal with neurotypicals.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because James Gunn is a creative, not a money person. The other guy is the money person.
Okay.
It's
Makes
the
sense.
Walton Roy Disney.
Yes, okay. That makes perfect sense, because when we did a million episodes ago, did our ILM episode, like what I thought was so interesting about that was the workplace itself being very autistic.
Yeah.
And these are obviously the characters, but that doesn't mean he's hiring actors or staff or whatever that are also autistic.
Yeah, he gets to hire whoever he wants.
Hmm.
So again, a lot of the people that he works with time and time again, including like Nathan Fillion and Michael Rooker, they're Sean Gunn. Everybody he likes and trusts and wants them back for more. So
it's like how Tim Burton hires all the same people, because it's like, okay, they get me, I get them, we know what we can expect from each other. It's going to be a much better working arrangement.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Dave Bautista is going to be in at some point in the near future. So it's going to be something to look forward to, and I can't wait for more autistic representation.
Yeah, well, it is coming your way.
But on that note, what is a favorite thing this week for you being autistic?
God, this week was very interesting for me being autistic, because I have been traveling to the land of neurotypicales.
Oh, that's not fun.
So I took 3 teenagers skiing in Switzerland.
Wow.
And yes, it was very brave of me. I did a lot of shots. I haven't done shots since I was in college. It was good. I was reliving those days. But when I was growing up, I lived near a mountain and I went skiing all the time. And then I don't like being outside. I'm completely dyspraxic. I fall all the time, like not the outdoorsy, sportsy person at all. But we were going to Switzerland and I decided I would ski one day and just see whether or not I remembered how to ski. And it's interesting. I skied from the Matterhorn down. It was amazing. I had fondue on the top of a mountain.
That's a very tall mountain.
It's a very tall mountain. It was 12,000 feet. I keep saying 12,000 square feet, but that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
But very, very high, very, very big mountain. And I skied down and I didn't fall. And I was very proud of myself. None of that is autistic at all. I was very much out of my comfort zone. However, I did a post-burnout technique of I knew I was going to ski. I prepared for it. But then I also blocked out, even though I was on vacation, the day before and the day after.
Yeah.
As I knew I would not be like sleeping. I was worried about all the things on
As
both
one does.
sides. Yes. So I was able to do a thing, which I was really proud of myself. That is not in my comfort zone. It's sensory stimulating. It was cold. I don't do cold. I don't do outside. I don't do things I might fall anymore. I don't know why I did once, but it wasn't terrible. I did not embarrass myself, and I built in enough recovery time that I could come home and make podcasts with you and not feel exhausted. I do not need a vacation from my vacation.
That is excellent. That's some good planning. I like that.
Yes. So that said, I didn't get any of my work done, so it's a good thing I don't need a vacation because now I got a shitload of work to do. That's less fun.
Yeah. If anyone's listening to this and is waiting on a response to email, I hope to get back to you at some point in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Correct. Well, we are going to be over at the Autism Symposium in Oregon in April, and we had an email about our flights from November that we just hadn't replied to. But yeah, I like to reply emails within 2 months.
Yeah.
That's apparently what I can do.
Same calendar year if possible.
But in this case, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I got. But I will tell you, because of my very busy schedule, I am editing a really good book I'm excited about, which is Jamie Roberts' new book on neurodivergent teen girls. That is really fun. So I will not be watching Creature Commandos this weekend. I will be editing and also working on some book proposals for both of us, one for each of us. So cranking out a lot of writing this weekend because I have spent a month not doing anything.
That's get rest, get work when you need, and get stuff taken care of.
Exactly. This is the way. All right. Well, we should come back and do this all over again. We were supposed to be talking about roller coasters today. That didn't happen. And let me tell you, I was going to tell you what we're going to be talking about next Tuesday on our next culture episode.
I believe it's Monster High.
No.
Oh, it's not?
We have one. We are going to do a Monster High episode soon. I'm excited to tell people about that, but maybe we'll talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. It'll be something good.
It'll be good. Yeah,
and we will be doing Monster High very soon. So stay high for that. Stay high for that, if that's how it works for you. Stay tuned. You have asked for a Monster High episode. You have asked for Anne of Green Gables. We've got that coming. Have they asked for the Orville, or do we just want to talk about it because I have a crush on I have a crush on Seth MacFarlane. So
it's shooting the 4th season this month.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I'm very excited. So yeah, lots of good stuff to come. I got an episode on rocks, and I've been rock hounding, and I have new rocks to share. So we're going to do that. Lots of good stuff. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you want to see. We love hearing from you guys. Drop a comment over on Substack. You can find us at autisticculturepodcast.com.
Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Autistic Culture Podcast.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to check out our advocacy episodes every Friday, where we explore important issues and share strategies for living your best, most authentically autistic life.
And for even more autistic culture, consider becoming a paid member for exclusive perks like Q&A calls live with Matt and I, a virtual writing circle, and our new Self-Defined Living course by Becca Laurie Hector.
Fun fact, it costs us about $8 for every minute you hear or see us on the podcast, but our member pricing is just $8 a month. What a bargain! Buy one, get 500 free. Seriously, if you could afford it, we would really appreciate your contribution. It makes this all possible.
And of course, the best way everyone can support what we're doing here is to rate, review, share, and subscribe on Substack or your favorite podcast app.
This is the way.